Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is an independently produced program. The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the producer and do not reflect those of Falls Area Community Television, its staff, or board of directors. Take a deep breath. Remember this is public access and carry on.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Fact TV studios in Keene, New Hampshire. We're here today for our second in a series of programs to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the original 1995 blockbuster film Jumanji, starring Robin Williams. It was filmed in the fall of 1994 and the spring of 95 in Keene, Swansea, and Jaffrey, to the delight of daily onlookers, including me. I have two very special guests with me today. We've got Patty Little. Hi, Patty.
Hello.
And Randy Filio, who were here when it happened 30 years ago.
We were.
You know, institutional memory is everything, and I can't wait to talk with them more about the experience of welcoming Dow and all of the crew and Robin Williams to Keene. But first I want to welcome some new sponsors to the Jumanji event. The Savings Bank of Walpole has come on board, AMT Productions and Hannah Grimes Marketplace. So thank you so much for doing that. And then I want to preview, in case you missed it, I did post the link on Facebook and it's on our webpage as well. But another of our sponsors, Terrapin Sky Media and Gavin Key, produced an event trailer for us that is really cool. So, Sean, you want to run that trailer for everybody?
There's a game called Jumanji that has a life.
Jumanji was filmed here, downtown Keene, 30 years ago.
It was my first term on City Council. We were approached by a gentleman named Dow Griffith.
Dow Griffith, the location scout, was driving through Keene with no intention of picking Keene, and when he saw Central Square, decided that this is where Jumanji had to be filmed.
And it progressed through the year. And then he came back at one meeting and said, oh, by the way, we've signed Robin Williams. And at that point, we all kind of took a collective gulp and realized this is going to be a big production. There was electricity in the air for Keene.
Cameras everywhere, people running around. It was just wild. It was pandemonium down here. People were so psyched to have a blockbuster film being shot in downtown Keene.
It was very impactful to Keene then, and this being the 30th anniversary seemed like a good idea to have a party.
So on the weekend of June 20th through the 22nd, we are having a festival, the Jumanji 30th Anniversary Celebration.
If people come to Keene and they haven't been here before, obviously they'll recognize downtown Keene where the animated parade of animals goes through. So they'll recognize Central Square right off.
Friday night we're going to have a free screening at the Colonial Theater, and we're going to have a cast party with any of the extras that were here. Dow Griffith will be here. He's the location scout. Dan Sissons was the prop master, so he's the gentleman who actually carved the original Jumanji game. Bradley Pierce, who played young Peter, he's coming out.
Saturday at 12 noon, we're having the Rhino Rumble road race, which is a 400-meter sprint up Main Street. In order to participate, you have to wear an inflatable costume. Rhinos, T-Rexes, you name it. We're going to finish at the square to kind of reenact the stampede from Jumanji in 1995.
There's going to be a scavenger hunt and a parade immediately following up Main Street around Central Square. We have actually commissioned a mural that will be unveiled on Sunday during the closing ceremony.
Kathy was really ahead of her time as far as getting permission for us to use the word Jumanji for the weekend. So we're really excited about restaurants and stores having themed merchandise. This is going to be an amazing time, June 20th through the 22nd this summer.
Thank you, Sean, for showing the trailer. I know that everybody enjoyed that, and I hope that you'll watch for it on Fact TV, who will be running it as well.
He did a nice job on that.
He did a great job on that, yes. Terrapin Sky Media is kind of all-purpose. He does promotional videos for stores. He did this event trailer as part of his involvement with the event, and he's also a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker. So he came to Keene a couple of years ago, and he's doing very well. You also will be able to see this trailer, much to our delight, before every single movie that's screened at Keene Cinemas and Springfield Cinemas in Springfield, Vermont. Chad Free is the owner of both of those cinemas, and as part of his sponsorship, he's agreed to run that trailer along with other advertising before each of his films. So we are going to get lots of visibility for everybody to know that Jumanji is coming back to Keene. But before we talk about the movie, I like to stress the fact that Jumanji was once a book, and books, of course, being very important. This book was written by Chris Van Allsburg, whom I first came to know at the Children's Literature Festival at Keene State College back in the 80s. And this was his Caldecott Medal winner, and really where it all began, because Joe Johnston, the director of the film, loved this book and reading it to his children, and it was his initial idea where he conceived of the notion that, hey, that might make a fun movie. So we want to thank Chris Van Allsburg for this book and the idea of Jumanji for sure. So when I was approached to be on the planning committee for the 30th anniversary, there was no way that I could say no. And I want everybody to just think about the serendipity of the fact that if location manager Dow Griffith, who walked into your office, Patty, and we'll hear more about that in a few minutes, hadn't gotten off track in search of a cup of coffee and found Main Street in downtown Keene, then we wouldn't have had this remarkable opportunity. And if our city council and the city of Keene in general hadn't sensed the importance of the moment and said yes, and we have some interesting documents here that go back to 30 years ago in the city considering what to do, then it could have all fallen apart, but it didn't, and here we are today. So I want to welcome you both again, Randy and Patty.
Great to be here. Fun stuff.
Definitely.
Patty has the distinction of retiring soon from her job as city clerk, and she has been our devoted city clerk for 46 years. 46 years.
She set a record.
The longest running city clerk position held in the state of New Hampshire.
That's correct.
So what are you going to do with yourself?
Well, I just turned 70 a few days ago, and so now I realize the importance of moving. So I've had a very sedentary life for 70 years or so, especially the last 46 sitting at my desk.
Right.
So I'm going to start moving.
I think that
and
is
not stop.
An excellent idea, a really excellent idea. I keep thinking back to when I used to ride my bike, you know, and now I'm at the age of, gee, hip replacement would be nice.
Yeah, right.
And I have these dreams sometime of, wouldn't it be nice to ride a bike again? So that's my goal. I'm with you, totally with you. And Randy, you've been around since the very beginning.
I have. I've been on, well, I'm a lifetime Keenite, you could say, but I've been on the council now 26 years total, kind of two stints. I was on for about 15 years the first go around, was off for about 7 or 8, and then decided, let's go back and try it again.
So much fun.
So I've been back for 10 years. So about 26, 27 years total. And, you know, Patty's put up with me for 27 years, along with a lot of other city councilors.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, you know, been around for a while. And the Jumanji came around my first term on city council 30 years ago.
Right.
And
you were
so
a newbie, right?
I was a newbie. Yeah, I was one of the newer members of council, and just fortunate to be on the committee that this came to. And it's ironic. It was titled differently, but it's basically the same committee that I'm sitting on now. That if it had come back to Keene now, it would have come back to the committee that I sit on,
Which is
ironic.
With the committee now.
Well, right now it's called MSFI, Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure.
Right.
Back then it was called something different, but it's basically the same. Anything that has to do with you know, those type of issues comes to us. Although If there's licensing involved, then it goes to another committee. So it's a little bit of a complex issue, but before it comes to any of us, it has to go to Patty first. So starting next month, it's going to have to go to somebody else first. But any issue that would come before City Council usually winds up in the city clerk's office first, and then it gets decided where it's going to go.
Sure. So, Patty, I would love to hear the story of Dow Griffith, the location manager, walking into your office and you meeting him for the first time.
Sure. Well, I have a small public counter, and we're handling birth certificates, dog licenses, just various types of issues that the city would have a responsibility for. And Dow walks in, and he introduces himself and says that he would like to approach the city council about permission to use our public ways for a movie. So, I had had some experience. One, I'm a clerk of the council, so coming to me to get on the agenda is totally appropriate. But also, since the beginning of the Pumpkin Festival, my office has done what's called the protocol. So it's bringing in all the staff members that have to decide the logistics behind the scenes for these large community events. So hearing that he wanted to have a film downtown and wanted to close streets was really wasn't startling to me, because we've had the experience of the Pumpkin Festival for several years. So what I did with Dow is at the counter, I didn't ask him to come back in the office, so intermixed with all this stuff as everybody else doing dog licenses and everything else.
It's like, yeah, hurry up, Dow. Hurry up.
I just explained, the timeline for the city council to consider it, what's going to happen behind the scenes in terms of his involvement, and what we would need him to sort of identify his responsibilities, and then we would react as to, here's what we're going to do to support that particular aspect of your event. So I think he went away thinking, okay, I think this community has this act together, that they could handle sort of a very large-scale closure of Main Street for not just a few hours, but for 3 days and then an additional 2. So I think he felt very comfortable with sort of that initial interaction. I sent him off to visit with the police department, because they would obviously have a pretty big role in that, and I wanted to have him at least start having some relationships with the people he would need to be working with.
So you set the stage.
I did set the
You
stage.
set the stage of the film, and also the stage of interaction and involvement with the city of Keene.
Yeah, and if you think about that, Patty's busy that day. Some guy's coming in and say, I want to do a film. She could have easily just have said, I'm busy today, because, you want to do a film.
Yeah,
have
sure,
have a nice day,
film, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, because your record keeping is so excellent as well, and because Randy has been such an incredible help, I want to acknowledge that, Randy.
Well, all these minutes that we have from the archives of City Hall, Patty and her staff retrieved. I made a phone call to Patty and I said, hey, can we go back 30 years?
And she's like, sure.
And that's why you keep good minutes.
Yes.
And and she did.
Yes.
She went back and found these minutes, and and I go back 30 years because I had forgotten a lot of this.
Oh, sure.
How difficult the project was to go through.
Well,
do this.
it was huge.
It was huge.
But I just want to read this little excerpt from a letter from Dow.
From Dow Griffith, yeah. What was the date? That was 1970.
This is December 12th, 1994, addressed to the Honorable Mayor and City Council of Keene. I'd like to personally thank you all for the opportunity to film Jumanji in Keene. I feel you have been an integral part in bringing this motion picture to the screen. I would be remiss not to bring your attention to the exemplary assistance our company received from your capable and competent staff. And then he goes on to list a bunch of people, but the paragraph I want to read now is, last but certainly not least, where do you find someone who's both so ebullient and hardworking as Patricia Little? To an outsider like me, she seems to be some miracle glue that holds things all together for the city of Keene. Her efforts have been greatly appreciated from beginning to end. I mean, that's high praise. This is a big deal guy from Hollywood, been all over the world shooting film. Indiana Jones, every big action film.
He got a Lifetime Achievement Award just recently.
Yes,
also.
he did. Yeah. Yes, he did. He's considered the guy when it comes to location.
I did not realize that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So none of us realized what really was going on except Robin Williams. Oh, cool, Robin Williams. I know who he is.
Yeah.
I saw him on Mork and Mindy. Or,
Right.
saw him do stand-up. He's pretty funny. But the impression, I think, that the film and all the people involved left in Keene was that we had a very special moment when Dow chose us.
Yes.
And that sort of spotlight on Keene is still strong today after 30 years with the parish mural still in
Yes.
place
Yeah.
and just the memories that everybody carries around with them. All the extras in the cast who were cast in the film have really important memories of being able to be in the stampede and carry pretend refrigerators down the street with them and televisions and everything else. As a thank you, Randy, maybe you could hold this up, and Sean, you could zoom in. As a thank you to the city, Dow presented this, which was one of the storyboards, right, Patty?
That's right.
And so it's got the signatures of all the principals from TriStar. And that's
Robin Williams is on there.
Yeah, and that's been hanging in your office, Patty?
That is correct. Though it is coming with me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent.
We'll just have to take a picture of it and hang a picture. We'll have to hang up a picture of the picture.
A picture of Patty with the picture. Yes,
Right.
that's the appropriate thing to do. So that was just an amazing experience, and thank you personally for being so welcoming to Dow and helping to make this happen. And you too, Randy, because you guys were on the council, and maybe you could just share a little bit about the serendipity of how it all came together. I mean, you had some incredible things to consider, like pages and pages of, we want to remove this, we need to do that, get rid of the parking meters, remove contemporary street signs around the square, replace Federal Street on the south side of West Street, west of the Commons. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
No detail was too small for the protocol team to consider.
It was. When it came to us originally to the committee, when Patty met with Dow and then Dow came up, my first impression was we had done a couple of films before, like with Keene State College. We had shut down a couple of blocks or whatever, and that's pretty much what I was thinking. Small independent film or whatever. They're going to want something down.
Right.
But all he wanted initially was, do you think this is something that we had moved forward with? And as a committee, there's 5 of us on it, and we was like, yeah, because he sounded serious. It wasn't fly by night. And then he said, okay, I'll be back. And then, about a month later, and he gets a hold of Patty again and comes back in and he starts moving forward with things. And we're like, well, okay, this is kind of the requirements we want. We started to put things together a little bit. Then we had kind of a joke, well, who's acting in this? Because once again, we didn't think it was going to be a massive film.
A blockbuster.
But as time went on and Dow was getting back to us, we realized it was starting to get bigger and bigger with their requirements. And you've got it there. There was 2 pages of requirements.
Right. I mean, allow lawn to grow on commons for approximately 2 weeks prior to filming.
Right.
Have standby city lawnmower ready to cut commons during first day of photography.
It was like move parking meters, move street lights.
Remove 1 lilac bush near center bench and commons and replant same or like kind after completion of photography.
Yeah.
I mean, until I read this, I knew that there was a lot of detail, obviously, because I was on the set.
Right.
But I was thinking about what they brought to the set more than what the city was asked
To remove.
in
Right.
order to prepare for their arrival. Which was, I mean, it's just extraordinary. Remove and cover flowers in west and south sides of the commons, then replant colorful flowers for the next day. What, do you have any recollection of what the maintenance crew thought of all of this? I mean, the guys who had to be involved with this had never had to do this before. Plant flowers one day, take them away the next.
That's right. But again, the protocol is very directive. And so there's a section for public works, there's a section for police, a section for fire. And so everybody knew the cue of what they needed to do and the timeline to do it.
I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall when whoever went to the guys that manage the downtown. Said, okay, so today you're going to take away things and then you're going to replant them.
Right,
tomorrow.
right.
As I mentioned before too, when he finally came in and we said, who's going to be he had mentioned Kirsten Dunst. And at the time, she was only 12 years old. She was an up-and-coming actress. We're like, oh, okay. And then I think the next time he came in, we've signed Robin Williams. Because that took a while to get him to sign. And when he said that, we said, seriously? You know, because we thought he was joking at first. And then after he said it, we're like, wow, this is really big.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, we talked to Patty after that, too. It's like, this is really big. And we, you know, talked to the police chief and the fire chief. By the way, the police chief at the time was Tom Powers, who now is the city councilor.
And
So,
how much do I love that?
You know?
Yes, that's amazing.
So he has a history of all of that, too. So we realized that we were taking on something really big. And to the credit of all the councilors back then and all the staff back then 30 years ago, this is something that would have been easy to say no to.
Right.
This was just too big for our little city.
Right.
And move on, and it would have just faded away, and nobody would have known. It would have been like, that was
Right.
too big. But it shows, if your first inkling is, we can do this until somebody shows why we can't,
Yes.
then you move forward. And this is a perfect example of it, and now we get to enjoy it again 30 years later. Right? You know, round 2. And we're shutting down the street again.
And we're shutting down the street again. That's exactly right. What was it like to integrate all of this into the workings, the daily workings of the city? You know, you have merchants up and down Main Street. I remember there was some confusion that went on, but it all worked out in the end. And it seemed to me, because I was on set every day, I had a press pass, I was writing for Entertainment Times.
Oh, okay.
And was fortunate enough to be able to do that, that the people we were interacting with from the film company were so decent. You know, they were really thoughtful and as reasonable as they possibly could be while making this blockbuster movie.
Right, right. Actually, I like Randy did, I looked through the record this morning just to refresh my memory, and we did have some concerns from downtown merchants.
I got a copy of them there.
Yeah, and it was mainly about onlookers blocking the sidewalks that
There
prevented
were a lot of
customers
onlookers. Yes.
from entering businesses. And so
Yes.
I think there were like 10 downtown businesses that came to the city council about a loss of revenue for those days.
Right.
And I think in the end, you know, many of them were withdrawn. The council didn't really support any of those. I think but what is important is that Mr. Griffith found ways to address it, because they were coming back and they wanted to make sure they didn't run into this again.
Right.
So they had point of contacts, they had more signage, they encouraged the Sentinel to talk about the downtown being open during the filming, and more monitoring to make sure that the onlookers were not interfering with people entering businesses.
So they were very responsive.
Very.
They really were. They were very
Yeah.
polite. Remember, people don't remember this probably, but there was 2 sections of filming.
Yeah,
They came in
yes.
and filmed,
Yeah.
and then they came back, was it 6 months later
In
or
the
something
spring,
like
right.
Yeah.
They were there in November, and then they
that?
came
Then they
back
came
in
back.
the spring.
So in
Yeah.
between those 2 filmings, some of the merchants,
Yeah.
and rightfully so, they were concerned. They brought in some of their concerns. Dow Griffith came, dealt with it, and
Right.
actually the paperwork's right there. We gave Dow a list of items that they're concerned about. He looked at them, signed off on it,
Yep, and took care of
and
it.
took care of it, and went ahead. In the end, everything turned out fine. But yeah, it was a very complicated process. There's no question about it. There was a lot went into this filming.
So now our event, our 30th anniversary event, is coming up June
Right.
20th through the 22nd. And we are going to shut down downtown Keene, but only for one day.
And the city council already ordered good weather. Too.
Yeah, oh, excellent. That's good. We wanted that. So that's Saturday, June 21st. On Friday, June 20th, we're going to kick off the weekend with the filming, the screening of the film at the
Okay.
Colonial Theater,
Nice.
which, of course, where it happened.
Right.
The original,
originally.
that was the original
Yes.
screening. It was at
Yeah.
the Colonial.
On a snowstorm night
It was.
where I made my way in from East Alstead and thought I'm never going to get here. And oh my God, it was just such a trek, but so very exciting. And so we want to replicate that again and give some special acknowledgement to people like you, Patty, who said yes, and you, Randy, who were there from the beginning and instrumental. And you've got some pictures here, right?
Yep, I brought in some pictures, and we'll handing them over to you to make some copies of.
Yes.
And it had a lot of the pictures that I took. You know, I had the opportunity to have the days off during filming, and I went down and took photos of Robin Williams and Kirsten Dunst, and a lot of the production as it was happening and going on, and a lot of behind the scenes things. And then
Yeah.
also there's some photos in there of when the filming was completed. and Patty was there, we gave a key to the city to Robin Williams at City Hall. And for those that were there, it was a fun time. For those that weren't there, it started off as a very formal, or a very informal little thing, and where Robin Williams is in the corner talking to the kids, and everybody's kind of milling around. And then everybody sat down, and the mayor went up, and Robin Williams went up, and Dow Griffith went up, and Robin Williams was very quiet and polite. And the mayor handed him a key to the city. Now, the mayor at the time wasn't very tall. He was about Robin Williams' height.
Right.
And Robin Williams took the key, stared at it for about 10 seconds, looked over at the mayor, who was a little shorter than him, and said, "I am the mayor of Munchkinland." He went on a 10 to 15 minute tirade that you see on late night television.
Yeah, right.
And we're all sitting in our chairs going, and Robin Williams is bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, right.
And about 15 minutes later, he just stopped and said, "Thank you." Just like
And
that.
you got to witness that
You
first.
got to witness that, and that'll always be embedded in the back of the brain there. It was a heck of a night.
I don't know if this is too small, Sean, for you to zoom in on, but this is a picture of Mayor Blastos and Randy and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
We got a few of those. Yeah.
Got a few of those.
We'll make some
There we
copies of
go.
them and have at the Colonial Theater that night.
And
too.
here's another one of Robin and
On me? Yeah. That's,
you.
Sorry,
Robin and Randy.
A couple of years ago,
Here's one of Officer Joe Collins and Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Officer,
Joe passed away.
Officer Collins was in charge of making sure that Kirsten and Bradley Pierce, who played Peter, were well looked after while they were here. And God, there's so much more we could talk about. I can't believe I'm looking at the clock and we're down to 45 seconds. So,
lot to talk about, lot to do.
yeah, well, maybe we'll just have to come back for part 2. I don't
We
know.
can always do that. Patty's gonna have plenty of time.
She'll ride her bike here.
Right.
I want to mention our website address, which is Jumanji 30th Anniversary. So that's Jumanji30th anniversary.com. Beautiful website developed by Red Web Solutions. So take a look at that. We've got an event coming up on June 14th at the library for families. It's a Jumanji read-along. And now I'm down to 10 seconds, so thank
That's
you
it. We'll
both
have to do
so
part
much.
2.
Yeah, no, we just have to do part 2. That's all. We'll plan that.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. June 20th through the 22nd, downtown Keene, Jumanji 30. We'll see you again.
See you then.